I'm not familiar with Paolo Sorrentino's work, but his newest film, The Hand of God, has already garnered some festival awards, and it also just hit Netflix. Is this Italian drama one to add to your list? In 1980's Naples, a young man pursues his love for football as family tragedy strikes, shaping his uncertain but promising future as a filmmaker. In addition to the festival awards, this was just recently nominated for a Golden Globe in the Best Motion Picture Non English Language category, and I could see why. The storytelling is very engaging. Now, I didn't always like the story, more so because we're watching families that are sometimes in turmoil, but the way the story unfolded really was captivating. We follow a young man named Fabietto as he navigates life over the course of a summer or so. And there are times where this is a bit chaotic as we get to see a lot of his family dynamics. They laugh, joke, insult. It's pretty much what you'd expect if you were to gather with a huge family. I like how we watch him go through all sorts of emotional experiences. There's young love and lust, heartbreak through devastating loss, even excitement over discovering new passions. There are some really touching sequences within this that are used to continually illustrate love. There's this older couple who whistles to each other, signifying their love. So even when they go through nasty times, there are still moments where they will share a whistle, and I thought it was sweet to watch. In one scene, even though I was pretty sure what was about to happen, those whistles provide warmth and softness, which made the following sequences easier to digest. And as much as this is a drama, there are quite a few moments with absurdity and humor. The camera knows just where to point to extend a look before giving us the punchline. And it helps to set up the awkward or even knowing glance of a character, giving us a clue that something is about to happen. But I loved how most of the time those clues were vague, so the reveal could actually have an impact. Like I had said, this follows a young man over the course of sort of a summer or thereabouts, so we're just seeing this day in a life kind of thing for him. Sometimes these types of films with that type of storytelling device can feel pointless, but this was really an enjoyable journey as we watch Fabietto grow into the man that he'll be. All of his experiences work to shape his character. We see him grow in empathy, maturity, and then even through some very unexpected experiences. The cinematography is beautiful also. The camera is patient, giving a lot of concern to capture details that work to add to the emotion of a scene. And then the lighting is also really well done, especially when we have scenes that are inside darker rooms. The shadows actually work to draw us in more to the small emotions in the face and the eyes of our characters. Now, the imagery at times is very intriguing. There's this opening sequence that is really only present to thrust us into a character's mindset, but I loved how mysterious it was. That mystery didn't really play out, though, through the rest of the story. And there's also a slowly erupting volcano in one scene, and I loved how that coincides with Fabietto's own internal brewing. Some of the scenes in this are awkward, but they're there to illustrate Fabietto's mindset. So when he feels ashamed or maybe out of place, the scenes match that emotion, which I surprisingly enjoyed because of how they drew me into the narrative. Now, normally, awkward sequences break me out of the story, but these manage to complement rather than detract. The set designs are wonderful as we're transported to the 80s. Now, I don't know what Naples in the late 1980s looked like, but the wardrobe, Walkmans, TV, and cars all have that vibe, so they feel like they live in that space. The pace of this is a little slow, and you might feel the time in spots during the 2 hour and 10 minutes. And there are portions where the patient storytelling and camera work become noticeable and maybe even seem a little bit self-indulgent. But the film really uses these to reinforce the tones of the story. The patience mirrors Fabietto's wandering. He's a bit of a mess or even aimless, searching for some meaning and purpose. So to have the story also take that time gives us good insight into his mind. There's one quirky and almost humorous portion with Fabietto's sister, and it's an ongoing gag, and while it's funny through most of the film, at the end, there's a pretty emotional gut punch for her character, and the way everything is captured is captivating, but it's also devastating through its meaning. Now, as much as I was drawn into the story throughout, I think some of the most powerful storytelling comes towards the end. This is when we really get to see into the heart of Fabietto. He has this dialogue with the director whom he admires, and their back and forth I found incredibly moving. Not that it was going to make me cry, but it's still touching as it works to show what this has all become a culmination of. Fabietto has found a voice, a direction, and even how to address his passion. And to watch a young man go from fantastical living to aimless to then knowing his desires, it's incredibly rewarding. I even love how the credits play out. giving us good resolution and closure with Fabietto. There's this peace that envelops the story. So even though we've gone through a variety of emotions along this journey, we're left in a peaceful state that left me feeling satisfied and hopeful. So overall, The Hand of God is a slow but satisfying character journey of a young man on the road to discovering himself. The cinematography is spectacular, and the use of varied family dynamics helps to make the story engaging. I think the true heart of the narrative comes from the growth we experience in the main character, taking us convincingly and unhurriedly through emotional maturity and mindful resolve. While the pace may feel like it's dragging at points, the end result is an honest look at how life shapes us. There's sex, a lot of nudity, along with some profanity and violence, including domestic violence. I give The Hand of God 4 out of 5 couches. So have you heard of this film? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.